I met today's guest at the Whole Heart Mind Body Fest, where I had the chance to host live interview sessions. One of those sessions was with her, and I wish it had lasted longer. Right after our talk, she told me that several people came up to her saying that they related to what she shared. And this is why I started Into the Cave. So I knew I wanted to continue that conversation with her. Aoife, singer and guitarist of Nuremberg-based band Never Use, is here with me today. Hi, Aoife. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. The first lyrics you wanted to talk about are lyrics that you wrote yourself with your song Spark, which are Hope you will remind me of a reason to stay. Do you still watch me from far away? And so, what made you choose these lyrics to talk about today?
Yes, I chose the lyrics because it is one of my most personal songs. The lyrics are about my dad that I lost when I was 3 years old. It was really hard writing that song, but it also helped me in many ways dealing with my feelings. I think it is important to talk about difficult stuff, to talk about things you don't feel easily open to talk about, so you feel connected also to other people.
I guess it's something you don't really talk about to many people. So, at least it was your way of talking about it and to release a bit those feelings that you had. And do you remember how you felt when you were writing this line for this song?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was crying after I was writing this line down. I don't remember exactly actually because it's been a while that I wrote the song, but I also felt relieved, I guess, because I put a lot of feelings into words that I've never talked to with anybody about. It also took me forever to write that song. I had the music first, and it was really hard for me finding a good melody. And after having one, it was clearly for me, I don't know why, that it was going about this topic. And yeah, finding the words that describe your feelings aren't easy in German and aren't easier in English for me, actually. So yeah, it was kind of a ride writing this song.
But then once you wrote it, or even maybe once you recorded it, did you feel something different, or were you like you said something that needed to get out of your chest?
Yes, for sure. Especially after writing it, because since I was like in my young teenage years, I was writing songs, but they've been not the best, as you can imagine. Writing with 13 years old and trying to write English songs. Yeah, so I was writing about like my dad in general more often, for sure, but I never tried to have the view on his mental illness also, because yeah, he was mentally ill. That is part of why he died. I really wanted to talk about that because it is not an easy topic. It is really tabooed in society. So there haven't been a lot of people that I was talking openly to about it. And it's also pretty hard talking about it without crying. Sometimes you just want to avoid that so you don't really dig deep into your feelings. It is easier for me digging deep into my feelings while writing songs. And for recording was so long after writing it, so I had a bit of a distance already.
Hmm.
So it was easier for me recording it. I wasn't too emotional because the song has been there for so long. I've sang it a lot. That was quite good, I guess, for recording.
And you were saying that this was a pretty tabooed topic. I guess it was in like the 2000.
Yes, it was. So I think a big thing for me was that already in elementary school, students were talking shit about it, like the way he died or why he died, because they heard something from their parents. They just repeated it. Kids are cruel, so they just come up to you and say bad things right into your face without thinking about it. It was really hard talking about it, especially when I was younger, but even in my teenage years, it is sometimes weird because you're always, it's not a party pooper because I don't talk about it on parties, but sometimes I remember one time friends were over at my house, like my mom's house. A friend asked me, like, where is your dad actually? I've never seen him. And everybody went quiet because all the other friends knew already. And so it was just like, I don't know. The it's not a good topic, so you can't really talk about it because people just freeze. they don't know what to say to you. They don't know how to react. So you just avoid the topic. It is, and it was, right now it's better, but back then it was really rare to have the feeling you can talk about it without the other one being completely uncomfortable.
In those time, now it's getting better and better, and I think that's great that we talk more about mental health and
Yeah.
the whole spectrum of it. But in this time, it was even just going to a therapist was not well seen, or it was just very tabooed.
Yeah, for sure.
And so definitely the parents had this idea, and then they were talking about it to their kids, so giving them this impression and just dumping it on you.
Yes, yeah, and as a kid you don't really realize the impact of mental health on people. So my mom was really good at explaining it to me, or to me and my brother, but it is still hard to know what a mental illness means for somebody, especially as a kid when you have no idea how it works, how life works. It was really hard to sometimes also to grieve, because as I wrote in that line, that's also why I chose it. I was always thinking if my dad, like if I was a reason for him to stay on Earth, or if I would have been a reason for him to stay on Earth. So yeah, that was I think maybe the hardest feeling I had when I was a child, was like kind of blaming myself for something that I had no impact on. Looking on it later, I was just a kid, but with other children saying stuff, you just think that maybe you've been part of a problem, or you haven't been enough. I think not having been enough was
Yeah.
the biggest feeling for me.
Yeah, sometimes we can try to find reasons about how we could have changed things, or we are trying to be very rational when in the end it's not at all. And it's just something that you had no impact on, that there was nothing you could do about it. But I guess it's also hard to realize that.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're not talking about it, there's nobody that says to you that it's not your fault, or it's, I think I wasn't thinking that it was my fault, but maybe being part of the problem, or not being good enough, right? I think, yeah. So if I didn't really talk about that feeling when I was a child, so there was nobody telling me that it's not true, that it's just a feeling and not the truth.
And you talked about your mom and how she was pretty open about it, very good at explaining you. Has it affected your relationship with your mom? And so you said you had a brother too, and with your family?
Yeah, for sure. Because as a single mom, you have to be two parents at one time, I guess. I have a really good relationship with my mom. It is kind of like a friendship. She's still my mom, but we're really close. I really appreciate her opinions on things. So she was talking about everything that happened pretty openly, and she was also pretty open with us if we had some struggles. She was not trying to keep us quiet, or not telling us it's going to be okay sometime. She was really understanding. It's also, I think, a really important thing is the genetic disposition of also mental illness. So that was a big point that she was talking to my brother and me when we've been younger, that we have to be more aware of some things. Just because we have genetic disposition, things could go more wrong than maybe with other people, like especially with drugs or so, that it has a connection to mental illness also. So she's been pretty open about it.
But it's great this way. If you had any questions about anything, you were more inclined to ask her about it, and she would not lie to you. And as you said, also, she was not sugarcoating it.
Yeah, she was really respecting our feelings. So also when I was getting a bit older in my teenage years, I was telling her that I want to go to a therapy, seek some help. And she was totally open. She didn't ask for what exactly or so, because maybe that would have been too hard for me to tell her, because it is so emotional talking with your mom about that topic, way more emotional for me than talking with friends. Yeah, because we're all impacted by that. Yeah, so that was really good. She was totally open. And as I was pretty young. She had to drive me to the sessions. And yeah, she waited in the car for the first sessions, like till I found a therapist. So that was really, really helpful for sure, being open and validating my feelings.
Coming back to what you said earlier, you said also that when you were younger, you were also already writing lyrics about your dad. So has music always been a part of you?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's 3 ways that music helped me. So one way is writing songs myself, dealing with feelings and putting my feelings into words that I wouldn't use otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And then also listening to music for sure, especially when I was a teenager and started listening to punk, pop punk, hardcore punk. I was realizing that I'm not the only one having some trouble sometimes. So that helped me for sure. And also my dad was a musician too, also just like for a hobby. He was a drummer, and I have CDs from his old bands. So I really liked listening to them, especially when I was younger and found them. I definitely felt connected listening to them, and I, yeah, sometimes feel connected just making my own music because I know he was doing a lot of music his whole life.
You're carrying a bit of him in yourself, but making it your own way.
I hope so.
And so you were saying that you went to therapy from a young age and that it has helped you, of course, dealing with your grief. And has it helped you in other ways that are more personal, really, to your own person?
Yeah, for sure. Because for me, wasn't just one topic I had to deal with. It was more. I think for most of the people, it's mostly more than one topic, even if it seems it's mostly one. For me, it was also a lot of problems with my self consciousness, the feelings that I wasn't enough or not likable, maybe sometimes too much. So yeah, I was pretty insecure when I was young. From pretty young, I guess I was really insecure. And so even in my teenagers, it didn't really change in my teenage years.
In the teenage years, it can get even harder, usually.
Yeah, definitely. I think in the teenage years, most of the people start to compare themselves more to others. It was the same for me.
Mhm.
So that was getting harder for sure. And also with body changes, it was harder. And maybe catching the first feelings for somebody. There's so many things happening during your teenage years. And if you have already some weight to carry around, it doesn't get easier during your teenage years. One part of therapy was talking about my dad's death for sure. And the other one was about accepting myself and trying to be okay with me.
This is why the second line that you wanted to talk about is from Neck Deep in their song The Grand Delusion, when we can hear claustrophobic in my own skin. So, what does that really represent to you?
It was actually the first line that I was thinking of when you told me to pick 2 lines. I don't know why, because I don't really listen to that song that much, but it is just a line that I feel close to for a long time now. It is also my WhatsApp status, so that has to mean something for 8 years.
Oh.
So I still feel connected to that. When I was younger, I was feeling the self-doubt in the song, being just wanting to be someone else, sometimes not feeling like my body belongs to me, maybe, like, or my looks. I didn't want to look like that. That was a big part of me, being insecure about my looks and also about my character. I have had and still have a bright character sometimes. So sometimes I had the feeling I'm too much for a lot of people, having too much of an opinion or being too loud, being too much in a lot of ways.
Yeah. But you see, that's so funny because I am very shy. I am a very shy person and I don't pick up a lot for myself. And so I wish I could be like you, but it's always so funny anyway because we always want what we don't have. If you have straight hair, you want curly hair. And if you have curly hair, you want straight hair. Just as simple as that. So
Yes.
it's funny to hear.
Yeah, and it's also because on the one hand, I'm like pretty bright and wanting to speak up if I'm not okay with something. But on the other side, especially in my teenage years, I was somebody who was trying to be likable to everybody. Even if I didn't really like the person, I wanted them to like me because I never wanted anybody to talk bad about me. It is really hard to trying to be good for everybody because that's just not working. That's not something you can achieve. And it's not, now I know that it's not something that is good. But back then I wanted everybody to like me. I was maybe split in two. I wanted to be, or I was somebody speaking out loud, and on the other hand, I was somebody that wanted to be liked by everybody, and that's not working.
Has this evolved over time? Did you manage to get over it and care a bit less?
For sure, definitely. I still care about other people's opinions sometimes, but it depends more on the people, and it's
Mhm.
not such a general thing. So if a friend or somebody near to me is like saying something critical, I will think about it and it may hurt me, but they know why they tell me. If somebody else is saying something, it is more of one ear in, the other ear out. So
Yeah.
it got better for sure.
Did going on stage actually help you with that?
Yes. So when I was in my teenage years, I already had a band. Like
Mhm.
nearly everybody, I started out with a cover band.
Uh-huh.
So I was singing in that band. I wasn't playing guitar. It was also in both ways again. So on one hand, I was getting more self-conscious because kind of had to act like I was okay with myself and okay with what I'm doing. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked. On the other hand, it was also, especially after having a gig or so, I was having a lot of thoughts about if I was good enough, if somebody's talking. It's been both ways, but I think on the long run, it helped me a lot because it's also so much fun being
Yeah.
on stage. When you're on stage more often, you get more in the moment and not
Yeah.
so much in your head. And when that kicks in, it's really, really fun. At the beginning, it's sometimes a bit hard also with Never Yours because I was thinking a lot if I sound good, if everything's working. And the more gigs we played, the more safe I felt with what I'm doing.
Because at first, when you begin, of course, you cannot be at your 100% and you get better and better over time. And so also more confident. And this is where you have less pressure, I can imagine, and that you have more
Yes,
fun.
for sure. Also, it's the first band that I'm playing guitar in for
Mhm.
all the songs. I had another band before, but there I was also just singing. And so that was a big deal for me doing two things at a time. I did it a lot with acoustic stuff, but not on stage with e-guitar
Mhm.
and all the other instruments that are pretty loud. And so you're not really sure if you really hear your guitar or if you really hear your voice singing. That was really hard at the beginning, but I feel so much better now and more comfortable being on stage with the instrument. It's also really nice because you don't have to think about what to do with your hands and your body because you just have a guitar on you. So that's also helping in some kind of way. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's one more thing to think about, but then also one less thing. So,
Yes.
and coming back to the line, so you mentioned that you didn't like how you were acting or how you would look like. And what was the version of yourself that you wish you would be at that time?
Prettier.
Mm.
Like, unfortunately, a lot of teenage girls, I guess, because we have such high beauty standards and teenage boys are shitty sometimes. Even teenage girls, I think there's a lot of comparison
Yeah.
in between. And I know way back during my school time, at least, it like girls haven't always been nice to each other. I hope it changed a bit. I'm not sure. And yeah, being more self conscious for sure and more likable, just being more of a, I don't know, somebody everybody likes, everybody's darling, but not too normal. And that's something that didn't work.
Yeah.
And also maybe I'm just not like I think I wasn't and I'm also not now. Everybody's darling. Too much punk at heart, maybe.
This is also something that we talked about with Mara from Glower in
Mhm.
episode. And even if you're in a more alternative scene, there is also a lot of comparison than being on the mainstream. So you have to deal with the people who are more mainstream who don't understand you, and also you feel like you belong in the more alternative scene, but you feel like you're not enough alternative enough. So
Yeah,
you're in an in between.
for sure. Also, I remember when I was in school, and I was always like, yeah, I'm listening to rock music, and I didn't really know what the direct genre was. And then when the classes got put together, when we got older in school, like two guys of my year told me that it's called pop punk and hardcore punk. And I was like, oh, sounds nice. So I was going to more concerts with them. And I remember other girls from my school year talking that I'm just listening to that kind of music because a lot of guys are listening to it. I think it's in both worlds. So if people are not in the alternative scene, they may think you don't really like it because as a girl, how can you like if somebody screams? I think that's a big thing. Or yeah, being in the alternative scene, maybe you're not hardcore enough. You don't know the leader's name. You're not into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think in the alternative scene, it's way easier, at least for me, because you already have people that have similar values that are like-minded.
Those girls were thinking you were a pick me, and you picked me so hard that now you are in a band.
Yeah, and also I've been in a band back then,
Yeah.
um, already at that age, but I don't know. Maybe I was pick me. I'm for sure I was a bit pick me because I was trying to be everybody's darling.
Yeah. In our teenage years, we have all been like that, I guess, trying
Yes.
to fit in. Now, if you look back at those teenage years when you really didn't like yourself, how do you view this version of Eva? What do you feel for her? Do you feel sympathy or the same as you were feeling for her back then?
Yeah, so mostly sympathy because I know where my feelings came from or sometimes where my actions came from. But I wish I would have been more of a feminist back then already, sometimes, because you're so hard on yourself as a girl and sometimes also with others. I mean, you grow up in a society that's teaching you to there can be only one nice girl, there can be only one pretty girl, there can be only one whatever girl. So you're comparing a lot, yourself a lot to others, but you're also, as you're comparing yourself, you also compare the other people. And that's just not right. I think it would have been nice if I was already in that mindset that it's okay for everybody to just exist without comparing.
Hmm.
But I guess right now I'm still not there. But back then it was way more of a competition for me or of a comparison, maybe more of a comparison than a competition.
Anyway, the people who are feeling the less confident in themselves are hard on themselves, and then they are hard on the others too because there is jealousy, and we've all been there.
Yeah, for sure. I was jealous on some looks or maybe also some characters.
Now we can see more, and which I find great. There is way more solidarity, and especially between women. Like there's more this concept of girls, and really supporting each other. And if a girl is pretty, you can just tell her she's pretty, and doesn't impact your prettiness. So I really like that. Now it's evolving a bit.
Oh, for sure. I love it. I also love that it's more girls on stages now and also behind stages and like everywhere, also on concerts, in the crowd. There are more girls, I guess,
Yeah.
than when I was younger. I think it just makes yourself grow more if you're seeing a lot of girls that you like, that you get inspired by, that you
Yeah.
can share some things or feelings about. I'd say I'm definitely a girl's girl. I have a lot of good friends that I can share everything with, and I'm so grateful for having them.
Do you remember any women who inspired you to be in a band or for something else in your life?
Oof, I have to think about that.
Yeah, it's hard because there are not so many. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, Avril Lavigne,
Mhm.
because my mom had her Let Go CD when I was like when it came out. I don't know when it came out actually.
Oh, your mom bought it.
Yeah, it was
The
my
full-
mom's CD. Yeah, my mom is pretty cool. She has a good music taste. She also had Red Hot Chili Peppers, things like
Mhm.
that. So Green Day, yeah. So that was really nice. So for sure, Avril Lavigne. I loved her Let Go album. I still love it. I can listen to it all the time, on every occasion. Besides that, it is actually really hard. I like Stand Atlantic when they put out their first songs. That was a big inspiration for me. Also because the singer is so good.
Yeah.
And she also screams a bit, so I love that. It is really hard because there are not too many women. And also, I think a big thing is that there are more women in the scene for sure. But the biggest bands are mostly men still, especially when I started listening to pop punk and hardcore punk. It was mostly men. There
Yeah.
haven't been a lot of female artists I listened to.
Also, as soon as there is one band with a woman in it, she's instantly compared to another woman. Like for any pop-up band, they're just saying she's trying to be like Hayley Williams. Most of
Oh,
them.
you don't know how often I heard that name already.
Yeah.
I
But
have orange hair and I'm singing. And there was already even a guy after a concert, he was shouting, "Hey, Haley," behind me. He was like, "Hey, Haley, where you going?" I'm like, "Oh, dude, there's more than one female singer on this world."
we never hear that for men, singer or guitarist or any other. But or
Yeah.
for example, I've heard a lot also for Spirit Box. People are always saying, "Yeah, but Tatiana from Ginger is way better." And
Mm.
why are you saying that? Do you say from another male singer, "Yeah, but this guy is way better, so he should stop"? It feels like there can only be one good, and this spot is already taken. So don't even try. That how it feels sometimes.
That is a big thing for sure. Yes. We've been playing an acoustic gig this year. We've been two with female artists and two male artists. They put us like a male artist between the two of us female artists on purpose because they didn't want the crowd to compare us. It's what you said. It's like there's only one space for a female artist, and if one is better, the other one doesn't have to be here. But for male artists, it's not like that. You can go to a concert with 5 bands just full of men, and nobody's
Yeah,
talking about who screamed better. But if there's 2 women on stage, they get compared pretty easily. I hope it got better already, but I think
so.
there are still some people that compare a lot.
Hmm.
So I think that's also with what I was saying about like my thoughts about being a teenager. If you get compared all the time from the outside, how can you not compare yourself to others like from your inside?
Hmm.
If you're used to that, you just do it. And it was the same for me with music also. I was mostly the only girl singing in a band at the teenage years. So I think there haven't been a lot of other girls on stage because if there's one, check. We can
Yeah.
fill the other ones up with men.
Anyway, there will always be someone better than you, but it feels like you have to be the best, otherwise you're not relevant. When there are a lot, I think less now, the quality of bands has gotten so much better, but in the early 2000s, they were not all super musicians, very good in what they were doing, but they were men, so it was okay.
Yeah, I feel that too, for sure. Um, I also think the quality got better because it's just more technic
Mhm.
and devices to do it. I think even back then, there haven't been too many female artists, and if they would have done the quality that some male bands have been doing, they wouldn't have even get recognized, not even a little bit. It's also, yeah, it is a hard topic because I'm happy it changes, and it changes a lot right now, especially where we met. It was a
Mhm.
Flinter festival, so it was really, really nice having a lot of Flinter people on stage. I'm not used to that at
Mhm.
all, but it is way more Flinters on stage compared to 5 years ago. So I'm
Definitely.
happy that it changes, but it's still not enough. Even if it changes in the scene, it would be nice if it also the mindset changes more outside of the scene for like
Mhm.
all the people listening to more mainstream music or so.
It's funny because if I think about pop, for example, it's way more women in it, and maybe a man can be seen as not relevant because pop is for the girls when it's not.
Yeah,
So
it's for
yeah,
everybody.
music has no gender, whatever the genre of music.
That's right. So I think some women flinters feel empowered when they see people like themselves on stage. So they appreciate it a lot. It's the same for me. But it would be nice if it would not only be recognized by flinters, also
Mhm.
by cis males.
But we can feel that we are getting there. There is still room for improvement, but little by little it's getting better, and we really appreciate that.
It's improving for sure. It's getting better on concerts and on festivals, especially in like scene festivals. And it's also something that I want to have an eye on, finding new bands that I like that have flinter people
Mm.
in the band, because there are so many bands that I already listened to for years and years, and a lot of them are just males because I listened to them since forever. And back then, there was only one band, Paramore, and no other girl band.
Mhm.
A band with a girl. It's not even a girl band. It's also something that I want to be aware of.
Coming back to our topic, so I asked you, how do you feel about young Eva, but how do you think young Eva would feel about the version she has become?
Oh, that's a nice question. I think she would be proud in many ways, for
Hmm.
sure, and relieved that she's not that into her head forever.
Hmm.
um, yeah, especially with music, young Eva would be really happy that I'm still doing music, that I'm writing my own songs, that I have people that are doing the music with me,
Hmm.
recording them and playing them live.
Yep.
Because it's just nice having people around you that have the same passion as you. She would be really, really happy about that. Also, yeah, I'm happy with my job. I'm happy with my personal life, my friends, my partner. So she would be really proud and relieved, I guess.
It would have been nice if she had a crystal ball to see how it
Oh yeah.
turns out in the end.
Yeah, especially when you're a teenager. If you think the world is ending, then you just think the world is ending. And there's nothing that can change your mind about it, I guess, because every feeling is just so intense. That would have been nice to know. But it's also, I mean, that's how life works, I think. I think for a lot of people, you're not so in your head when you get older, or you're not weighing things as much as you did when you were younger. It's a way of learning to deal with your feelings and to not make everything a big thing.
And I think she would find you cool, which is also very important for a teenage girl to find you cool, you know.
I hope so.
And so to get there, I guess it was not from one day to another for you to feel this way, but what has really helped you to reach this level of content?
I talked about therapy before, so that
Yeah.
played a big part for sure. I've been to therapy for several years, so it wasn't an easy way. It took me a long time to deal with the feelings I had and the problems I had, and also in the first time accepting needing help, and then also
Mhm.
finding ways out of depression and finding ways to prevent yourself from getting in a depressive spiral. I learned a lot during therapy. It was really hard, but so helpful till now. So I can still feel how it helped me today. And then also having friends that I can talk openly about a lot of things, that helped for sure. And also my boyfriend. We're together for a long time now. So we've been through a lot. He has seen me at my worst. That helped a lot for sure. That he was by my side and helping me with things. Music helped me for sure, finding a way to express your feelings, finding a scene that you feel connected to, knowing that you're not the only one feeling not good about yourself or
Mhm.
dealing with some stuff. That helped me a lot. So I guess that's one reason why I'm still connected so much to that kind of music, is because it helped me so much. I was always a big lyrics person. It helped me a lot reading lyrics or hearing lyrics
Mhm.
and screaming them at concerts while crying.
Do you have a memory of one specific band or lyrics that you were at a show and you wanted to cry the lyrics and scream them?
I remember when I was on a Yellow Card concert that I was crying a lot because I was listening to the lyrics while singing or while he sang it, and I just felt it so deeply that I had to cry a lot. But it was good. I like crying. So I'm fine with that.
And at concert, the light is very low. No one can see you, and you are probably not the only one.
And nobody cares. That's also really nice about concerts. Nobody's looking at you. They're looking on stage
Yeah.
and they don't care how you move. They don't care how you look or what you're doing. That's really nice.
Also, you were saying that going to therapy and trying to get better was very hard. And I think that is also a very important point that you really need to get out of your comfort zone to get better and do. Sometimes, if you're not feeling right, it's because the thing that will make you feel right is not in your habits. It gets hard, but in the end, it gets better.
Yes, that's right. Digging so deep into your feelings and into the picture you have of yourself or your past, it is really exhausting. Also, a thing that was hard for me way back then was that therapy was a taboo topic also. I tried everything to keep it a secret, so nearly nobody knew about it, just my mom. And then when I got older, a few friends and my boyfriend, but not more. That made it more difficult for sure because I sometimes felt like an alien being in therapy
Mhm.
so young, but it helped a lot. That is also a reason why I sing about it and why I decided to talk about the
Mhm.
stuff, because it would have been really helpful for me if I knew somebody talking about it way back then, or if I just knew somebody that was also struggling with their mental health when I was a teenager. So that's what I found in music for a bit, at least, because it's not a person you talk to. So I think it's really important to talk about it, to normalize it, to tell people they're not alone, maybe to help them if they need help and helping them to seek out for help and for like finding therapy.
For example, I remember that you told me after our live interview session that some people, or at least one person, came to you to say that they could relate to it. And I can imagine that it was a good feeling to know that it's helping, or at least that people can relate to what you're saying. And
Yeah, for sure. So it's been a few people, not many, but at least a few. So even one person would have been enough. It was the first time for me talking about it on stage or that openly, besides like talking about it in a friend group or so. I was really excited. And I wasn't sure if I can put my thoughts into words, especially in English. It's just different to talk about it if it's not your native language, but it was totally worth it. And yeah, that's part of the reason why I decided to also do this podcast, because it was nice like hearing from people that it helped them,
yeah.
that they felt connected or that they felt understood. It was really nice because that's what I would have wished for myself.
Hmm. Now, what's next for Never Use?
Yeah, so we have some shows in June, also in Munich. We
Hmm.
play with Spite House, 3 shows, so we're really excited about that. It's gonna be a cool experience, I guess. And the next big thing for us is that we're gonna be recording our new EP. We already have the demos, and then in June we start with the drums. I'm really excited for the new songs to be put out because they're not as soft as the EP that we already put out. Not really heavy, but not as soft. It's just a different songwriting approach we had this time. The first EP that we wrote, a lot of songs have been acoustic songs actually, because I wanted to do an acoustic project with my boyfriend. And then we've been in the practice room and we're like, okay, let's just try it out on the drums. Oh, yeah, sounds nice. And that's kind of how Never Yours got into Vision. The songs on the first EP are songs that have been written on an acoustic guitar. And it's definitely different now for the new EP. So that's maybe also why it's a bit harder. Really looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to listening to it.
Thank you.
For everyone listening, I highly recommend you listening to Never Use wherever you listen to your music, and also to follow them on Instagram to make sure that you don't miss anything from them. Thank you very much, Eva. That was very nice. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me.
Don't forget to follow Never Use on Instagram and also this podcast on Instagram at Into the Cave Pod. And meanwhile, I will talk to you again very soon, and be kind to yourself. Bye.
Bye.